This a part on the dresser that got breathing exercise on it like this.
Okay, on that dresser. Okay. Okay, baby.
What's up, Deborah? Everybody probably preparing their food. I'm preparing, but I'm moving slow as I can be. What did I make today? I made my carrot cake. I started my my homemade stuffing. Thank you. Yeah, this is cool. I think it was that I made candy yams. She said you're not doing nothing tonight. I worked them all from home, but I'm working. The phones is ringing. Good evening, everybody. I'm talking to my bestie, so it's like we're on the phone. Good evening, good evening, good evening. I have YouTube on my left, Facebook right in the middle, and I have Instagram on my right. Good evening, everybody. My name is Kimball Evans. I am your trap therapist, and welcome to the Trap Lounge. Y'all like my background? Hey! You see it? You see it? Yes, yes, yes. I'm coming up a little bit, guys. I'm coming up. I still want to give a shout out to my daughter, my oldest. She's like, Mom, get your banner. Get your stuff out there. Designed it. Hooked me up. Well, designed it. I'm old school. We used to do graffiti back in the day, tagging somebody. Instagram, y'all can't see it. Let me move you over a little bit. You see it? We tagged each other back in the day. We see that's coming back out. Tagging is coming back out in Philly. I'm gonna start taking some pictures of it again. All right, you see that? You see that? All right. I'm back in business. I'm trying to let y'all that don't talk about my little jug because I got one bigger than this, okay? I got one bigger than this. I'm trying to let y'all in on it. I'm in two different books. I'm in my prayer journal and I'm in my. Let's see if I can slide y'all over here a little bit. There you go. No, there you go. A little bit. All right, people. It's hot. And this is what I dressed up as this morning. This is what I was in all day. Okay, my little panty suit. Let me zip it up for y'all. I normally don't act like this. But this is exactly, I need this to feel something soft and cuddly and lovable. I unzipped it and put a little shirt on under it because my oven on. You will be proud of me, Miss Burke. Okay? It's boxed though. It's boxed. I did a carrot cake. I am doing fudge brownies for my husband because he loves brownies. Now, both are boxed. Don't you do it. I'm trying. I'm trying. That's what I'm doing. I'm trying. Next year, I will leap and do some recipes. Now, let's get down to business. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving. You'll be having family over. Some family that has some issues. Okay. We all have families that has those issues, right? But before we get into the juice and the tea of stuff, I did not put my mental health midweek check-in because the phones was crazy today. 988 is a national suicide prevention lifeline, meaning we operate every single day. Okay? Every single day. No matter the holiday, we are operating. No matter what hour, no time, we're operating. We're at work. Just because I'm on now does not mean that someone's not on that line at work. It's a 24-hour, 7-day a week hotline. Absolutely every single day, absolutely 24 hours, around the clock. Okay? So if you're having problems tomorrow, between the hours of 8 and 4:30, I will be at work with no problem. With the same exact smile I have on my face, my voice may be sounding a little bit differently because, people have a telephone voice. My voice is a little bit different on the phone. But I will be happy at work to help and assist someone on the lines. Okay. So I could not post my midweek check-in. But if I was to post my midweek check-in right now, I would say that I am doing fairly great and wonderful. So I will be putting up a red emoji heart. My week has been great. It has been awesome despite all the tribulation and trials. And shout out to 24365, our wonderful, wonderful prayer group. Shout out to my big sis Roz, Lindsay. We are in day 6 of our 40 days of prayer. 40 days continuous. Every 3 hours is prayer. So, matter of fact, in 10 minutes at 9 o'clock, someone will be going on 24365 with 9 o'clock prayer. Continuous is 40 days, 40 days. 40 days and 40 nights of prayer on 24365. And that's why I said I was going in my prayer journal. I have a prayer journal for that. So shout out to my big sister Roz. Hold on, guys. Babe, can you go check the brownie?
I got you. Yep.
See, Deb, I got a timer and stuff all on there. Hey, Miss Carla. Hey, Miss Sheree. Again, I did not post this because it was so busy today. So if you want to check in, you can check in now. Miss Carla, Miss Sheree, Miss Deb, how you guys feeling? Again, I'm doing great. We've been praying since November 21st was the first day that she came on, explained things how it's going to be. Got people up to what was going to go on. Hey, Joss. Hey, my sister. So we started, 24-hour prayer. It started on November 21st, and we're in it. It's for 40 days and 40 nights. Again, it's every 3 hours is continuous prayer. There's always going to be somebody on 24365 praying. Again, at 9 o'clock, there will be somebody on praying. There's I wouldn't say theme, but she has a specific prayer point, which is called expectations. I did invite some people. You have to have an invitation because it's a private group, but the group is so big and expanded. So if you're into prayer, you need prayer, let us know. I invited some people to 24365 for prayer. It's awesome. It's wonderful. I myself have been going on there praying. I will be doing tomorrow night's 6 p.m. prayer. Prayer is very uplifting, and that's why I said I'm doing great, even despite some of the things that I've been going through. Hey, Zen, I was going to call you. Thank you for popping on, my love. If you're down where you are, I'm so happy that you are. I'm happy that you're down there. Safe travels, and I love you. I love you, Zen. So if you want to check in. How are you doing on this Wednesday, November 27th, knowing tomorrow that we're going to sit and eat with family that we haven't seen in a while, some family that we don't even want to sit next to, some family that's like, yeah. So if you're doing great, put that red emoji heart up there. If you're doing okay, put the blue emoji heart up there. If you're doing mad, put a yellow emoji heart up there. If things are tough and you're struggling, put the green emoji heart up there. If you're having a hard time and you wouldn't mind if someone was to reach out to you, put the purple emoji heart up there. I don't mind reaching out to you. Please inbox me. please message me. I will reach out to you. I will talk to you. I really would. I will get back to you. If you're in a really dark place, put the broken heart emoji up heart up there. Now, if I reach out to you, please know my first initial reach out to you is to find out what you need, what you require, and then to give you resources. I'm not going to be anybody's personal therapist. I'm not a licensed therapist. I will reach out to you to get you resources and try to help you with something, but you're not going to keep calling me. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I will get you the proper resources. I will help you through your situation at that time, but you're not going to keep reaching out to me. First of all, that's illegal. Again, I'm not a licensed clinician. I'm a life skills coach. I do life skills. I can help and pray with you, but you're not going to keep reaching out to me. That's not going to happen. I do set up boundaries for that. If you're having some harmony and balance in your life, you can put the pink emoji heart up there. If you're feeling optimistic and uplifting, you can put the orange emoji heart up there. If you're feeling kind of poopy, put the poopy emoji up there. You can put the brown emoji heart up there. Sometimes we are feeling kind of poopy, some kind of that you're feeling kind of yellow. Man, I get you, girl. I get you. If you're having some mixed emotions, blankness, innocence, and minimalism, put that white emoji heart up there. If you're feeling cool and self-restraint, put the gray emoji heart up there. If you're relaxing and friendly, put the light blue emoji heart up there. If you're having some sadness and anger, put that black emoji heart up there. Miss Carla, how you doing, love? How you doing, Miss Carla? What's going on? What's going on, Miss Carla? How are you? And Deb says she ain't cooking nothing till tomorrow. How many people are at home cooking? How many people are at right now burning the midnight oil, as they would say? Someone was on TV saying they spent almost $800. $800 for the meal for tomorrow. Now back in the day, first of all, back in the day, the food wouldn't cost as much money. But back in the day, I would have spent all this money on food and made sure everybody had the proper things and made sure I made the proper dishes, the favorite dishes for everybody that I knew was going to come over or where I was going to go. And we normally make something for the house before we go over someone else's house, right? We have to make something for the house. Me and my hubby about to be empty nesters again, sort of, kinda. So we made. I took some small things out to make for him. I'm not a meat eater anymore. Yay to that, right? I don't. Yay again. I meat beginning of the month, meat at the end of the month, right? I know Deb. She used to cook for 30 or more people. It's gonna be like 32 people again in 3 more years, honey. Miss Burke, my bestie, used to cook 30 or more people, cook and baking. Big families. And shout out to Dr. Bobby Jones. This doctor that I've been following for a while, African American doctor. He told you about nutrition and food, and we shouldn't be doing these things that we're putting our bodies through, and all these cookouts and family reunions, having these massive things of food to be eating, and the more we see, the more we gorge on. Like your grandma used to say, your eyes is bigger than your stomach. First of all, I don't like turkey. I ain't eating no turkey or whatever you turkey, ham, and duck all stuffed together, right? So I told my husband, I said, we're going to do something small this year. I turkey wings. I did cabbage, kale, and collards together. Some turkey butts in there because I do like some turkey butts. Put that in there. I'm going to do my grandmother's famous, her own personal stuffing that she made. We love that stuffing. I'm doing that. Rice, gravy, And I said, well, I did have some sweet potatoes in there, so I'm going to do some sweet potatoes. And David, if you are watching, before we go to my sister's house to bust a grub with them, you will be getting a Thanksgiving dinner coming up to the hospital tomorrow. So you will, yeah. And tell X he will also be getting a Thanksgiving dinner coming up to the hospital for him tomorrow. So we are not leaving you out. We hook our family up, okay? Right? Yeah. We ain't telling you what you're gonna get though, but you're gonna be getting some yum yum tomorrow before we leave from Philly to go up to my sister's. They out in the county. They rich, right? You know, they rich. Before we go down with our family, we gotta make sure our other family is okay. So you're gonna be getting some yum yum tomorrow before we leave to go bust it up with our family. Okay. All right. Now let's get into this topic. This something always comes to my mind. I was just thinking about what was that thing? The Sanford and Son. Sanford and Son was kind of like a dysfunctional family to me. Different Strokes was kind of like a sort of a dysfunctional family to me. What was the family with Walona in there? What was that TV show called? Good Times. Was kind of like a dysfunctional family to me. Happy Days. There was another one. What was the one with the guy on the Archie, and he always yelled at his wife. All in the Family was one. Laverne and Shirley. They had some issues on there. The Brady Bunch. The Brady Bunch was kind of like, kind of had some issues. So the TV shows kind of sort of had some issues with dysfunctional families. And I hear a lot of people saying that when they call or when I listen to people talk about their families. Like, I had a toxic family life or a dysfunctional family growing up. And so I was like, everybody gets together. There it is. That's my 9 o'clock to make sure I jump on or get up to hit that 9 o'clock prayer for 24/365. So shout out to my family that's about to go in and pray. I'm with you, and I can you can always re-watch or replay the prayers on it anytime. So again, if you want to join an awesome prayer group, inbox me and you can be invited to that prayer group. I believe everybody that's except my sister is probably on that prayer group. It's an awesome prayer group for strengthening for prayer. They will pray for you. It's an awesome group. But that's what came to my mind when I was like, Dad, Thanksgiving is coming up. We have lost some loved ones this year and last year. So Thanksgiving, anything is not going to be the same with us losing people. A lot of people have lost some loved ones. And so this season, just life in general is not going to be the same this year. But we still have people that are still here presently. And some of them people may not be easily to get along with. You might be that person, right? It might be me. I had a rude awakening this week. And I was out. Listen, I'll tell you about that. And I'm talking with my hands. I'll tell you about that. So how to keep your place or your peace, drama free on the holidays, coping with dysfunctional behavior. It's the behavior, guys, from your family members. It's the behavior, because remember, behavior is learned. It's learned. And so some people will grow up with that behavior and not even know really that it's something wrong. And if it's in your family, the family will keep it. So one of the things that we were talking about in the Tattered and Bruised workshop is what's in your bloodline? What's in your DNA? And so if you grow up in that environment, like in my environment, my grandma didn't talk. She talked, communicated, but when she got upset, it was just yelling. That was the communication. The yelling was nagging. She wasn't talking to you necessarily. She talked at you. And my mom didn't talk that much. Not at all, really. She grabbed you. She grabbed you. And so when she grabbed you, you knew what she meant. My mom was a silent person. If she talked, you'd be like, okay, something's coming. And that was it. My mom said it one time, and she meant what she listened. That was it. So my grandma was the talking type, but when she talked, she nagged and yelled. My mom was not so much of a talker. When she talked, she meant what she said, and after that, there was some consequences, period. And so, can you imagine growing up in a house like that? Either you're silent and don't say anything, or you're saying something and you're yelling it to make sure whoever you're talking to is listening to you. And if they're not listening, you're getting louder with it. And I can say that's how I communicated. And sometimes when I get upset and you're not listening to me, that's all I'm doing is yelling. My tone gets up there, and I'm trying to work through that. And so what I do is, if I know I'm going to get there, and I mean get there immediately, I won't say anything. I'll do the opposite. And what happens is I will bite the inside of my lip, and it hurts. I mean, I've bitten the inside of my lip where it bleeds, and I have a hole in there because I don't want to yell. I'm trying to stop that dysfunctional behavior. I mean, I do it. My sisters do it. My kids do it. My brother does it. And so everybody in my family, that's in their bloodline. My cousins do it. I don't know if my other cousins do it, but it's in our bloodline. That's the behavior. So I was looking up dysfunctional. Dysfunctional family is where there's a pattern of conflict, misbehavior, and sometimes abuse or neglect. And this is towards children. Relationships are tense and can involve yelling, screaming, and neglect. There may be unspoken rules of not talking, trusting, or feelings. Children who grow up in these families may think the situation is normal. Do you have it, guys? So when I grew up, all I thought was either you're silent or you're yelling, screaming when to communicate. There may be things that you grew up with in your family that you thought was normal, like slamming doors. Or going to bed without anything to eat. I don't know. Is there something that you guys, is there anything come to mind when you were growing up, something that you thought was normal in your home, that when you grew up and when you started your own family, you seen that was not the same thing? Does anybody want to put something out there? Anyone? All right, so let's go. Let's like I said, we already named some TV shows. Different Strokes, Sanford and Son. Because Fred Sanford couldn't have been my daddy. He always talked down to his son. George Jefferson with his wife. Well, he was moving on up. He was racist too.
Yeah, that was dysfunctional.
Yeah, he was racist. George Jefferson was racist. I I'm going to go. I'm sorry. I'm just going to veer off just a little bit. We can go farther back than that. Let's talk about the Bible, right? How Eve tricked Adam, how Adam disobeyed God, and then Noah. Noah had to build that boat. Everybody thought Noah was crazy because they didn't know what rain was. Get all those animals and put all the animals on the boat. First of all, how did he ring up all those animals, him and his sons and the wife and their wives, and put all these animals? In my mind, the boat was big. It had to be huge. Every animal, some of them was 2x2. We just learned in our Bible study class that every animal wasn't 2x2. Some animals was in sets of sevens. Read your Bible. I'm telling you, we learned this stuff. There was not just 2x2. There was some animals that was in sevens, clean and unclean. Go back and read your Bibles. And so, it rained so much that, and then they sent the dove out, and the dove came back, and the dove didn't come back, all that stuff. But then when the rain dissipated, it was all gone. And Noah went off and got drunk. What happened? His daughters did some rude incest with him, right? Got him drunk. That's a dysfunctional family. We still have that happening today. And that was all the way back before any of was thought of by God. That was dysfunctional to sleep with their father because they didn't think they was going to be able to be fruitful and multiply. So let's just leave it on that real quick so we can have kids. This was in biblical times. So I'm gonna be as transparent as I can. My two daughters said mommy is a little bit too rough talking with them, right? I'm like, well, what are you talking about? One of my daughters says I put her down when I'm talking. I don't give her an opportunity to talk to her as a woman. I'm like, what? I don't get that, but okay. And I'm like, okay, well, when it's presented to me, because I'm always open for a conversation. When it's presented to me, we'll have this conversation. So I know how to communicate. I can communicate. But if something's presented to me and it seems like someone's telling a lie, and that's one of the things that I do not like. If you're lying on me or to me, we need not to have a conversation again. We need to end that conversation and just go about our business. Never lie. And we're adults. I'm just going to let you know why lie to me and you're an adult. I will give you 2 tries to try to say, are you sure? Did that really happen? That's what you're saying. Because if you lie, you'll do some other things, and that doesn't sit right with me. I'm a big person on integrity, right? So the conversation went all the way to the left. It went past Pluto, and Pluto is not a planet, right? It's not a planet. And so then we went back to the yelling and screaming, and there was no communication at all. There was none. I said, matter of fact, why are you even on my phone? Was this the purpose of your call? Was to get me upset, to get me I wasn't even at 100. I was like near 1,000 again. I was on Pluto. And Pluto is not a planet anymore, right? So I was gone. I hung up. So when you get those calls where you just hang up on somebody, I wish it was the flip phone so I could have just flipped it, right? I could have just flipped the phone, but I had to press the thing to hang up. Mind you, I'm at work when this happens. Mm-hmm. At work when this happens. Let me sip on my juice. On my free time, on my lunch break. Normally on my lunch break, I get up from my chair and I walk the building. Because what I do is very stressful. It takes a lot out of you mentally and cognitively. And so I walk the building. Miss Carter says you had to switch non-communication and not caring. You mean you had to switch to not talking and not caring? So you had to shut that off? We're going to talk about that in a minute. That's awesome. We're going to talk about that in a minute. It can work that way, but you have to. It's something different from that. What you're doing is putting up a wall. That's a defense mechanism. I'm going to tell you what you can do, because we're going to say how to cope with remember, it's how to cope with dysfunctional behavior. How to cope with it.
It's far from the noise of
So,
quiet,
oh, you can't hear me on here, really? Get out.
Alexa lets me control my smart lights, security cameras, and even my thermostat like I'm there. I'm not floating on this.
Somebody on Facebook, tell me if you can hear me on here. Zena, you on it? Can you hear me? I keep saying slow connection. Babe, can you go on Facebook and see if you can hear me on there?
Right.
Something's going on. Person calls me back and I'm furious.
Yeah, I can hear you better.
You hear me on Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay. And now I'm screaming. I'm in the bathroom. And I'm screaming. Why are you calling me? This conversation is going nowhere. I'm at work. Do you know what I do at work? That's what I'm saying. I'm at work. You're making me upset. You should have never called me. You didn't call me. You should have thought about, first of all, calling me with what you called me for. The conversation didn't help. I thought you were smarter than this, was what I was saying. Oh, the comments wasn't coming. Yeah, something's going on with, because that was happening to me this morning as well. The comments wasn't coming through. And so they kept saying, Mom, 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 Mom. And I said, I'm not listening to you. I have already shut this thing down. Stop calling my phone. And I hung up on her. How God is so great, because the week before that, I got into something with my husband. And again, I was walking the hallways. I do this every day. I do not sit in my chair on my lunch break. I walk the hallways. I do like maybe 8 or 9 laps in the hallways, walking the hallways. And the Holy Spirit said, anger cannot live in that vessel. Get rid of it. And I was like, what? I said, not here. Not what you do and not what we need you for. Anger cannot live there that long. Get rid of it. And so I started laughing like, okay. Like I'm literally hearing this from myself. Like, okay. And I'm walking and I turn my music on, and the song that always plays every time I turn my music on comes on. And I'm like, wow, this is first of all, there's no coincidences. And so I call my husband back and say, what's the song that's been playing every single day, all the time? that our pastor said we need to look for songs that mentions Jesus. And he was like, really? I said, this song's been playing every single day once I play my song list, and it's always on. And so I tell him I gotta go so I can listen to the song, and I'm saying to myself, anger cannot live in this vessel. And as I'm telling myself that anger cannot live in this vessel, I feel my body stop being tense. I feel my face starting to smile. And now I'm praising God while I'm walking in the hallway. And now people's looking at me because they look at me anyway. I'm a contracted worker at police radio. They're like, this lady walks the hall every day. She talks to herself because I'm like, hallelujah. Thank you, Lord. Anger can't live here no more. I walk in the hallway and I'm singing while I'm doing it. Some people get it, some people don't. One day I just scared one of the police officers because I was talking to Zen on the phone and we got into something and listen, the spirit hit me. And I stopped and she was like, are you okay? I kill them people in my job. So as I hung up with her and I'm listening to my music, the Holy Spirit didn't say anger can't live it anymore because they already gave me that conviction. They said, you can't get mad at them for them saying that you don't communicate properly. You learned that behavior. Is it not true? And I'm like, yeah. And then I bit my lip. And I bit it again. And I bit it again. I was like, listen, I will not make myself bleed telling myself that because you don't want to give in to what they say to you. Took my phone out. Before I turned my song on, I pressed record and I said, I apologize for anything that I said, known or unknown, that may have hurt you guys' feelings. I'm sorry. I don't want anything to come between my motherhood or my friendship with both of my children. And I said, before you were born and before you were born, I love both of them because I couldn't have children. This is what I was told. I sent the first message and then I sent another message. That one's very personal, so I'm not going to tell y'all that one. God told me to be humble because you're supposed to honor your mother and your father, but you are supposed to not make your children angry to wrath. I love my children that much that I can admit when I'm wrong. Or that I didn't understand or I misunderstand if I'm talking down to my children. They're not children anymore. My daughter's 28 and I have a 26-year-old. I learned that from my grandmother. I also learned that I can communicate with my kids as adults. As women, I see my daughters as women, not just as my children, but as women. But I also want them to respect me as their mother. Two different things. You get it, people? If I'm wearing one hat as a mother, give me respect as a mother. If I'm wearing another hat as a woman, woman to woman, we can respect each other from woman to woman. They have to decide which hat they're wearing at one time. You can't be a woman in one space and then be a child. Mama, I need, mama, I need. Stand on one of them first. Because if we're arguing as women, let's argue as women. But if you coming at me with something else and I'm your mother, it's a different story. We need to establish that. We needed that to be established. See, that's what these children out here don't understand. And mothers don't understand it either. That's very difficult for mom and child to understand. And that's why I understood what my mother said. Don't play with me, I'm not your little friend. And that's why mothers said that to their daughters, or fathers said it to their sons, whatever. Don't play with me, I'm not your little friend. It's that little gray area that a child will push a person to. And I didn't want to be pushed through that gray area. So understand when you do that, what side are you coming from? Are you coming from the woman's side, where you want to have to stand 10 toes on it, stand on it? Or you coming on the daughter side, where I'm going to have to nurture you and maybe guide you on a different aspect. If you're standing on the woman's side, then we okay. I don't need to do all those things. Because a parent, we wear so many hats. You'll expect us to wear so many hats. So, Miss Carla, you were saying with the communication, let's go to the coping part. How to cope with these dysfunctional behaviors that we learned as children and we pick up. And I can give you one that's just certainly familiar. What's going on right now with the kids? You have parents, instead of, spending time with your child, and this can be something positive. You spend, you come home from work, you worked a 16-hour shift, you're trying to make dinner really quickly, and your kid's following you everywhere. What do? Is you give your kid the iPad, and you put the iPad on, and they're playing Roblox, or they're watching Disney, the princess thing, and they're playing a little game on there, and they're sitting down, and they're learning to maneuver everything on there while you're cooking that fast 30-minute meal, right? Miss Carter said, my daughter always and recently shuts down and hung up on me in August because I shared something to her about her grandmother, where she didn't like, so she banged on me, and I got so tired of her. It cut off. Miss Carter said, when it's what? And I'm gonna get to that because it's in here. It's in here with how to cope. But we do. They do that. A lot of people do that to their kid. Put the electronic right in front of their face, and they're on it. For the young kids, they're on it. Even in church, they're right on it, just to give them something to do for a distraction. That can really turn around and be not so good for the kids. Oh, so your daughter just shut down and don't talk. Well, Miss Carla, you do that stuff. You do that to me, and I'm like, I'm gonna leave her alone. I'm gonna just leave her alone. You do that. That's what I'm saying. That's a behavior that you've learned. Your mama do that too to you, don't she? These are behaviors that we learn. These keep us in a safe spot. I would rather say nothing and then to say something and disrespect my mom or get my mom upset. So let me bite my tongue, hold it in, and not say anything. That's one. Giving a child the electronic to distract them. Put them right in front of the TV. And then so when you take the electronic away, you want them to do their homework, or you want them to go to bed on time, and they're not, what happens to the child? They're having a full blown out tantrum. We was in the supermarket today, and he said that the girl is too big to be crying like that. I said, baby, she's probably like 9, 10 to the most. So whatever her mother told her no for, she babied her. And that's the same thing. I won't say that I babied my children, my kids, because they're grown adults. But They weren't spoiled. They got what they needed, and I gave them what they wanted. When I say I gave them what they wanted, that's because both of my daughters did what they had to do. In school, they were above and beyond. When they got to the point where they were 18, even when they first was able to get jobs and work, they never asked mama for anything. They never asked their mother for anything. They still don't ask their mother for anything. So if one of my daughters or my son say, Mom, I need it, I know they need it. The other thing is, oh, I'm spilling juice. Oh, y'all see that? My pants are soaked. The other thing we do, or that I see this getting done, is the small kids growing them up too fast, dressing them too fast. Y'all letting them watch these adult shows. They're in adult conversations. You do. Miss Carla, let us not get into a test right now. Let us not get into a test. So these kids, the younger kids, I'm talking about these kids are 4, 5, and 6. Y'all letting them watch Love and Basketball. I'm not saying y'all as people that's on here, but I'm talking about the population in general. They're watching Love and Basketball. They're watching these reality TV shows. They're watching things that they shouldn't be watching. I know back in the day, even when I was 12, 13, 14, if it was a love scene that came on TV, my mom would say, turn your head. And if you tried to turn around, she would real quickly. She would pop you so quick, your whole face would be stinging. My mom didn't play that. And that's one of the things that I think made me feel some type of way when I felt challenged for my daughter. Because I would have never thought to pick up the phone and call my mom and say, I think the argument you and such having is petty. Y'all know if my mom could have pulled me through the phone, my mom would have been at Bell Atlantic on the other end pulling me through that phone. Because in my mind, the audacity. I regress. I'm sorry. Let's get to the coping part. Because this is what we need. This is what we need. Again, the way we was raised was the way they were taught. The behaviors that they went through was the way their parents taught them. My grandmother was not raised by her mother because her mother died at a very young age. So my grandmom had to raise herself. And it was self-preservation for her because she started from 14. Her grandmother, my grandmother's mother died when my grandmother was 14 years old. So she had to raise herself, her 4 brothers, and take care of her father. My grandmother was born in 1938. Women were not respected back then. African American people were not respected back then. Women still was considered property back then. So imagine a 14-year-old African American female back then raising 4 boys, her brothers, and taking care of her father on a farm. And then she had 4 boys and a daughter coming up in the 60s. She had to run away from down south. This is going to be in my book, y'all. I ain't going to tell you all the greens and the potatoes. To come to Philadelphia. And when she came to Philadelphia, she reinvented herself. And Josie was nothing to be playing with. And she raised her kids that way. And when her kids had kids, they were all women. There was a bunch of girls. And she raised those bunch of girls as being so independent, we didn't need nothing. We were a force to be reckoned with. Where my sisters at? I have a twin sister and I have a little sister. Jocelyn, you still on this line? My grandma didn't play with the girls in our family. We put the N in independence. Miss Carter says she's recognizing her mom was isolated herself from the abuse from her dad, and she shut down. What's in your bloodline? When I did that exercise and tatter and bruise, whatever is in your family tree in your bloodline, either on your father's side or your dad's side, you took to that. We don't see those things. But the behavior in that environment, you take to it. Miss Carter said, me, she isolates and she does it inwardly. She hold her feelings in and then she'll write them out or she'll read them out. Miss Carla, I'm going to be doing one of my life skills specifically on the bloodline. Specifically on that, because that's a key part of the behaviors, the misbehaviors that we need to understand. You can learn the misbehaviors, but you can also unlearn the misbehaviors. You have to dissect those things and really look at yourself like you're doing right now. Really look at those issues and say, oh my goodness, this is why I'm this way. This is why my daughter is this way. This is why me and my daughter is this way. This is why we don't have that good relationship. She said both sides. She used to hide in a tree in the backyard. And it's fixable. Again, how to cope. Set clear boundaries. Set clear boundaries. Prioritize self-care practices. When I say self-care practices, it's about you. You matter first. Now, when I say this one here, please listen to me. Please listen to me. Limit contact with toxic members whenever necessary. It does not mean that you don't have a relationship with them. It does not mean you never see them again. It does not mean that this person doesn't exist. It says limit contact with toxic members when necessary. I did this. You cannot take that person out of the family. You cannot pretend that they don't exist because other families is going to tell you about them. Guess who was at the cookout, y'all? And you sitting there with your mouth all twisted up, all mad. They are still in your family. They're still part of that bloodline. Just because you didn't go to the family reunion, just because you didn't go to that particular cookout, or because you left because you know they was coming, that does not mean that person doesn't exist. Just limit the times that you're there. Limit the times that you're involved with that person. Seek professional help from a therapist. Specifically, if you're still going through trauma. Specifically, if you're still going through resentment, pain, hurt, do trauma-based therapy. If you're specifically going through the wondering why, the how, do solution-focused therapy. If you're specifically trying to change the thoughts of the trauma, go through cognitive behavior therapy. There's specific therapies out there certain things. Maybe I'll talk about that next week. I'll think about talking about CBT, trauma-based therapy, solution-focused therapy specifically. Communicate your feelings assertively. That does not mean you're telling somebody to jack off, F you, all those things. Just let them know, like, listen, this bothers me. This is not the place for you to do this. You're in my space. You can let them know if you continue to be in my space, we're going to have a problem. Let them know whatever that problem is going to be. And you have somebody there to witness that's in the right place of mind. Focus on building a support network outside of your family. So if you feel as though the toxic family member is itching to be actual doing stuff, because this stuff can happen in your mind and it's not really happening. And you need to keep yourself away from the family for a while. That's okay. I did it for almost 10 years. It's okay. It's okay. Focus on building a supportive network outside of your family. And so when the holidays come around, you don't feel so left out, neglected, abandoned from your immediate family. When I was married to my second husband, we always went to his family house for around the holidays. I would get calls from my sisters. They would call me and check up on me, and I would, talk to certain people, but I was not around my immediate family. So my in-laws gravitated towards me. Identify unhealthy behaviors. Again, this is about you. The unhealthy behaviors are about you. Are you having mood swings around that time of the, holiday? The frustration, do you get irritated really quickly? Because nobody want to be around you either. Okay? If you're not around the dysfunctional family and you have the unhealthy behaviors as well, nobody want to be around that. Remember, because you was in the family that's dysfunctional, so you might have some unhealthy behaviors as well. Try to identify those things. Is your attitude a little bit funky? Sometimes we got to look at ourselves. Remember, I was at work yelling and screaming. When I came out the bathroom, they was looking. And I just kept on walking. I wish you would say something. I was in the bathroom minding my business. Now, Miss Carter, pay attention to this. Develop emotional detachment. Develop emotional detachment. Learn to separate your emotions from the family drama and avoid getting pulled into conflicts. I'm going to drink my juice again. And then it says pray. I put that down. Pray. Ms. Carter said, I'm doing so now. I was dealing with a narcissistic man who I thought was Prince Charming. Okay. You know how they say Prince Charming got to be Prince Charming. You had to kiss him from the frog to the prince. Kiss him to see if he turned back. Develop emotional detachment. Learn to separate your emotions from the family drama and avoid getting pulled into conflicts. What matters the most to you? The things that you can control. If you can't control it, if you can't change it, you can't. And that's one of the things that's on here as well. If you can't change the person, if you can't control a person, everybody write this one down because 2025, this one should stick with you. Develop emotional detachment. Learn to separate your emotions from the family drama and avoid getting pulled into the conflicts. And then pray. If one of your family members is calling you about something that you are not involved in, somebody else's mess, somebody else's gossip, somebody else's abuse, somebody else's problems, somebody else's financial issues, you can listen to them if you want. I normally say, I'm going to call you right back. I got to tie my shoes. I'm going to call you right back. The phone is ringing. I'm going to call you right back. Give me a minute. I got a call. Now I don't even pick up the phone. I go right to, I swipe it. It's ridiculous. Your peace of mind is priceless. If my Holy Spirit just told me that anger cannot live in my body, and I have prayed to God, I want my peace back. I know what that peace felt like in 2018, and I loved it. I smile now, guys. I smile now. I didn't smile 15, 20 years ago. Why am I going to allow anybody in my family, husband, daughter, child, even my dog, to take my peace away from me? Pray about it. And let's move on. Practice acceptance and forgiveness. While not condoning harmful behaviors, try to accept situations and forgive family members where possible. And pray. And move on. Important points to remember: you cannot change others. Focus on managing your own reactions and settling boundaries rather than trying to change your family members. We know how your family members is. You know how Uncle Betty is. You know how your grandmama is. You know how their own stinking out of yours is. That's always late. That's going to come and take all the food home to her 11 children. They never bring anything. You know how the family members are. You cannot change them. You love them and you leave them alone. Some people don't know they have these dysfunctional behaviors. Some people don't want to change their dysfunctional behaviors, but we still love them. Especially the elderly. Some of the elderly will not change. They're not going to change. The younger ones, they even may be too far out there to even see because they think they know everything. And I told a lady today, her I think she didn't say if it was a daughter or a son. They're about to be 21. And I told her to simply say, how can I help you? What do you need help with? And I had to ask her, I said, I'm going to ask you a question. It might hurt, it might sting. Are you a trigger to your child? And she said, yes, I'm a trigger. I'm always a trigger. And I said, okay, so you're going to have to ask yourself a question. When you trigger your child, ask them, well, how can I help you? What do you need help with? What can I do? And if the child says, I just simply want you to get out of my face. And she said, the child said, well, I wanted you to make me breakfast and you didn't make me breakfast. And I was like, well, it sounds like you sometimes enable the child. And she said, I simply do. I said, well, then you're going to have to start putting up boundaries. Child about to be 21. Child get up late and breakfast is not made. That's on the child. about to be an adult now. Breakfast is a bowl of cereal. It's hard when we're parents. It's very difficult when we're parents. Parenting doesn't come with a handbook. It was difficult with Christ and God when he was on the cross. God had to turn his head. He had to turn his head from his only begotten son. Important points to remember. You cannot change that person. Remember that. You cannot change that person. Prioritize your well-being. Your mental health is paramount. So take steps to protect yourself from emotional harm. Check in with yourself. You know when you get irritated or agitated or frustrated at somebody. Check in with yourself. We have the situation, just like a doctor has a situation. Even though I'm not a licensed clinician, I'm still supposed to not do any harm to anybody I speak to, I talk to. You do no harm. I say it would be the same when you're talking to a person that you care for and you love for, that's a family member. You try not to do no harm. So you listen to the person that you're talking to, and if they're letting you know that you may have hurt them by what you said or you did, the easy way to just apologize is to say, I'm sorry if I offended you. Period. I apologize if I offended you. Period. Deep breathing exercises is a wonderful thing to do, guys. I'm looking at my watch. It's 9:50. I do know Sister Stephanie is on here, so I know we are not praying tonight, and I'm taking up all this time. I'm just eating up all this time. I do want to do this deep breathing exercises with you guys. I like this one that I have. I know. I'm looking at her book on my table over here, and I can't think of her name. Sarah Jakes always says you can breathe in the roses and blow your candles out, but I like this one that I'm about to do now. So deep breathing exercises are great for releasing stress, releasing fear, releasing anxiety, and releasing the muscles in your body. When people often call the hotline and they don't know what to say, they're really stressed out, they have high anxiety, I always let them know to focus on themselves, to give themselves some time to breathe. And so if you guys want to help me with this exercise tonight before we go, try to take a deep breath in, hold it, and breathe out hope. Breathe in hope. Breathe in hope and breathe out fear. Take a deep breath in, breathe in happiness. Breathe out self-blame. Take a deep breath in, breathe in happiness. Breathe out all that anxiety. Let's do like Sarah Jakes Roberts says, take a deep breath in, smelling them roses, and blowing out your candles. Let's just take some time to reflect tomorrow, as I always say, it's giving thanks. Giving thanks to family. Giving thanks because Christ has given us another year, another marvelous day, God willing, to spend with family. No matter what or how we came up, He's given us that time to be able to celebrate with friends, with family, with people we love and cherish. I'm thanking you guys that you spent this hour and a half with me. I love you all. Be blessed and have a happy Thanksgiving. See you guys next week.